Hello and welcome to Humanities 102M at Milligan, University, I guess, by the time you begin the course. I'm Lee Blackburn. I teach Humanities and History at Milligan. This video is essentially to just give you some basic kind of orientation to the course and perhaps at least answer some of your questions in advance. Of course, you may still have some questions about the course after this, and that's fine. Just email me those questions and I'll be happy to address them promptly. The first thing to say is just to state the obvious, which is that this is an intensive course. And what that means is that we've taken what we normally do in 16 weeks, 15 or 16 weeks over the course of the semester, a normal semester, and do them in 8 weeks. Now, humanities, as we teach it at Milligan, is already rather demanding, when you go through the 15-week semester. Some of you know this firsthand. So you can imagine when you compress a course like that into 8 weeks, it becomes more demanding still. So this is not to scare you, but just to impress upon you that you're going to need to work hard to stay on schedule in the course. If you start missing deadlines, that's going to be pretty catastrophic. And this is the kind of course, an intensive course, where you really are not going to be able to take many days off. So just plan to find a way to kind of make this course part of your daily routine. I think you'll be a lot better off for it. Okay, so much of what I'll be doing in this video is kind of going through some aspects of the syllabus, not the whole thing, but hit some of the highlights. So one of the first things I want to encourage you to do, in fact, I want you to encourage you to do this right now. If you haven't already, pause the video and go do it. Print out the syllabus. It is available in the very first module of the course on Canvas. And even though it seems kind of quaint, especially for an online course, for you to be printing out the syllabus, I do think there's some real value in having a hard copy of the syllabus at hand so you can consult it at any given moment. So do that, and I would also encourage you to go ahead and print out the study guide, which you can find just below the syllabus on Canvas. And I'll talk a little bit more in a bit about sort of what the study guide is for and how it is best used. Okay, well, there's some important things under course description and objectives, and I encourage you to read that section. But in the interest of time, I'm going to move on to page 2 of the syllabus, and you can see the assigned readings there. Now, there are a couple of these assigned readings that you don't need imminently. You don't need in the immediate future. That's true of Othello, that's true of Tartuffe, but the rest you're going to want to get a hold of pretty much right away. When it comes to the last 4 books, so from the Inferno down to Tartuffe, I realize that some of you might have other editions, other translations of some of these texts. That's okay. We can work around that, particularly if money is an issue, although most of these should be pretty cheap, especially used. I would encourage you, if at all possible, to track down the translations that we have actually assigned here. We've selected those translations for a reason. They tend to be more readable than a number of other translations. So if at all possible, track those down, but if not, we'll work around that. You'll notice that there's a line there about a film. You will be assigned at some point to watch the film Much Ado About Nothing based on Shakespeare's play. And by the time that rolls around, it's hard to predict if it will be available free on a streaming service or something like that. Certainly, it is available to rent on all the major outlets for $3 or $4. So I just wanted to give you a heads up for that. It's not a big financial commitment, but you very well may have to shell out a couple of dollars. Although last time I checked, it was on IMDb TV, free with commercials. So it's up to you if you want to go that route. Finally, there is an optional book, a writer's reference. Don't expect you to use that, but there is a lot of writing involved in this course. And if writing is something that you really struggle with, I mean, we all could use improvement on our writing, but this book would be handy, I think, for that purpose. Okay. And one other note, some readings will be available in PDF form on Canvas. So, print those out. I think 99% of us are much better readers when we're dealing with a hard copy of something rather than looking at a screen. So you can find those readings on Canvas, print them out. Okay. How about, again, page 3, grading, integrity, assistance, all important topics, but I think I'll let you read that in your own time. Starting on page 4, basically I've just given you a kind of report from Milligan IT, basically suggesting the minimum technological requirements for the course. So look through that. I think really, if you have a computer that's no more than 3 to 5 years old, you're probably not going to run into problems, but you might want to look at that just in case. That's again page 4 and 5. I hate to say this because it sounds kind of callous, but the fact of the matter is, with an online course like this one, it is your responsibility to make sure that you have adequate technology. It is your responsibility to have backup plans, a plan B, a plan C, for what to do when technology is not cooperating with you. So to put it really bluntly, the technological aspect of this, or if you run into a technological problem on your end, that is your problem and your responsibility. And so go ahead and be thinking about how you want to handle that. Now, there may be a technological breakdown on my end. That happens every once in a while, and obviously you will not be on the hook for that. But be thinking about what to do if you have internet problems, or if you're in a situation where internet is really intermittent. First of all, you may really want to ask yourself if this is the right class for you. But second, just figure out a plan for working around that. Okay. Also on page 5, there's a little bit on online etiquette. I'm not terribly worried about this. If anything, students tend to be overly polite to one another, at least in my experience so far. But do, especially when you're expressing disagreement with someone, which is great. And I if you guys always agree on everything, that's going to get awfully boring. But when you do disagree, keeping things impersonal and respectful is really important. And in general, I may say a little bit more about this later. Notice that last bullet point under online etiquette has to do with intellectual property. You never, in an online discussion forum or something like that, want to sort of propose an idea as if it's your own, but which you actually got from another source. So just own up to your debts, and I think we'll all be fine. Okay, so getting started, page 5. Contact information. You see my email address, you see my cell phone number. Certainly, generally speaking, email is the best way to get a hold of me, and I'll be checking it a couple of times a day and getting back with you within 24 hours. But if there's an urgent issue, don't hesitate to call me or text me, but reserve that for very urgent and time-sensitive kinds of matters. Okay, I hope most of you have some experience with Canvas. If you don't, I think that's fine, because Canvas is a rather intuitive and user-friendly piece of software. But it is Canvas that is going to be where this course happens, basically. And when you go to the home page for our course, you're just going to see a series of modules. And that's how this course is organized. That's how this course is structured. That's different from the way we teach humanities in the classroom, where the course is sort of organized into 4 units. Now, I do have unit headings on Canvas, but mainly as a way of kind of reminding you that we're entering into a new time period or something like that. But in terms of the rhythm of the course, it is divided into weeks, 8 weeks. And you complete a week, you complete a module, and then you move on. Hopefully you don't, forget everything that you just learned, but it is not a cumulative course in the sense that you are going to be tested on the same material multiple times. You'll really be tested on it once, and then you will move on. So just think about this course as divided into weekly units, and I will make it possible for you to get a week ahead if that's feasible and if that's prudent for you to do so. I don't think in any scenario, given the demands of this course, that it would be reasonable or prudent for you to try to get more than 1 week ahead. So what I'm going to do every week, every Sunday probably, is to unlock another week of the course so that at any given point, you can always kind of move on to the next week. If that's what you choose to do. Okay, so the flow of the course. Let's skip ahead. Let's look at page 9. On page 9, you see the weekly schedule. Now, this is actually the part of the syllabus that is really going to be least valuable to you in a sense, because everything here on the weekly schedule is just built into the Canvas modules. Okay, so you never have to worry like, oh, is there something I'm supposed to be doing this week that's not listed in the Canvas modules? No, it's all going to be there. Okay. The syllabus is very, very important, but for other reasons, I've already touched on that. We'll come back to some. But what I want to do right now is kind of give you a sense of what every week is going to look like and the most effective way to kind of move through every week. So the best, in ideal situations, the first thing you'll do in a given week is watch the instructional videos that I have made to help prepare you for that week's readings. Okay, these videos I've made, there may be 2, 3, probably 4 at the absolute most. I'm not sure if that ever happens. And these videos are going to be somewhere usually between 15 and 30 minutes. And with each of these instructional videos that I've created, there is an accompanying quiz. And so the idea is that what you would do is you would watch the video, you watch it carefully, you would not multitask. You would watch the video carefully, take some notes, and then immediately take the quiz while it is fresh in your mind. The quiz is normally going to be something like 5 questions. You're going to have 5 minutes, so a minute per question. And so it's not a big time commitment, but you're going to do so much better on those if you actually take the quiz right after you've watched that video. So, because there's 3 or 4 different videos, you can do it however you like. You could sit down, you could just burn through them all if you want to do that. You could sort of divvy them up. It doesn't matter because each of these quizzes is specific to one specific video, not all the videos together. Okay? And I think when you look at it on Canvas, that'll be really clear. So again, the main purpose of those videos that I've made is to help prime the pump for the readings that week. So ideally, and it may not always work out this way, but ideally you would watch the videos before you really get started on the readings. Okay. So those videos, I mean, the quizzes that go with those videos, with the exception of the first week where I give you a sort of an extra day, are going to be due by midnight on Wednesdays, right? Because I want to kind of force you to go ahead and get that done so you can move on to other things. So Wednesdays at midnight will typically be the deadline for those quizzes. What else do you have to do in a given week? Well, you have to, of course, do the readings themselves. And the other assignment is to watch a filmed lecture, or in some cases a film, a video. These are lectures that are actually given in front of a live audience of humanities students at Milligan. Okay, so you read the assigned readings, you watch the assigned lectures or films, and then you have a weekly comprehensive quiz that covers all that material. All the assigned readings for that week, all of the assigned lectures and or videos for that week. Okay? And these weekly quizzes will be usually somewhere between 25 and 30 questions, and again, a minute per question. And these are really the heart of the course. If you look back on the syllabus to page 4, I believe it is, you'll see that, it's 3 actually, page 3. You'll see that quizzes are half of your grade. Now, of course, that includes the quizzes on my instructional videos, but those videos are worth a lot less. The quizzes are weighted. So a quiz that has 5 points is going to count quite a bit less than a weekly quiz of 25 or 30 points. Okay, so you want to wait until you are really ready to take those weekly quizzes. Okay, there's one more thing. Every week you have some kind of writing assignment, and it's going to alternate. Some weeks, beginning with week 1, as you can see on page 9, some weeks you'll have a discussion forum. And what I'll do typically is pose 2 different questions, and you address each of those questions in separate posts, so 2 separate posts, plus you respond to at least one of your classmates' posts. Okay, so 3 posts total. And if you look on page 7, that's where I lay out my expectations for what makes a discussion a good discussion post. These discussion contributions are graded, right? Anywhere from 0 to 100. So if you want to know what I'm looking for, what makes for successful discussion post, it's all there on page 7. Do note that ordinarily discussion posts, if it's a discussion forum week, discussion posts are due by midnight on Friday. Now, again, the first week is an exception. I'm giving you an extra day. You have until midnight on Saturday that first week. But look at that last sentence on page 7 under discussion forums. Plan on making your 2 initial posts by midnight on Thursday to give your peers time to read them and to make a thoughtful response. You are all going to put each other in an impossible situation if you all wait until 11 p.m. on Friday to make your post, because then you won't have time to actually read and comment on one of your peers' posts. So plan on making those 2 initial posts by midnight on Thursday, and then on Friday, make that third and final post in which you respond to someone else's. Okay, I know it sounds a little bit confusing, but you'll get the hang of it. And again, this is all laid out in the syllabus, exactly what I want and how I want you to go about it. Okay, so those are sort of alternating weeks, and as it turns out in this course, they're the odd weeks, week 1, 3, 5, and so on. On even weeks, you have a different writing assignment, namely you are expected to write an essay, more or less on the model of a 5-paragraph essay. I will give you an essay prompt, and you simply write an essay in response to it. And again, on page 7 of the syllabus, I try to lay out what exactly I'm looking for in these essays. They will also be graded on a 0 to 100 kind of scale. So take a look at that, and you're going to learn as you go. You're going to make some mistakes. I'm going to help kind of gently correct them. And so make it your goal not to be writing perfect essays or making perfect posts at the beginning, but to learn from mistakes and build on strength as the semester goes on. Okay, so 1 writing assignment a week, either discussion post or an essay. You will never have both. Now, because the essays, I think, probably require a little bit more time, I make essays due by midnight on Sunday. So when essays are due, they're actually due at the same time as the weekly comprehensive quizzes. Okay, I know, lots of information, but I think if you, again, take the time to sit down with your syllabus and take a look, you'll be able to absorb all of this just fine. What else is there to say? Not a lot, actually. Well, maybe 2 more quick notes, and then an assignment, an easy assignment. I mentioned the technological issue before, and that brings me to the whole question of late work. Let's just say, for in normal circumstances in this course, I will not accept late work. You don't take your quiz in time, the deadline passes, and you email me and say, oh, I just had a busy week, I just didn't get around to it. That's not going to be good enough. However, I do have a heart, and if truly kind of exceptional circumstances arise in your life, there's a family emergency, you become quite ill, something like that, as long as you let me know these things as they develop, then I will work with you. Okay, so just keeping open communication, that is the key. Not waiting until the deadline has already passed, but saying, hey, I've got to drive to Ohio for a funeral, and I don't know if I'm going to have Wi-Fi up there, and I will work with you. I can extend deadlines and things like that in those situations. But again, to go back to the technology thing, if you say, hey, I was having Wi-Fi issues on, Sunday night, it all depends on the specific circumstances, but I may not extend a deadline in that situation. And that's again, because the technological thing is the technological ball is in your court, and you need to have backup plans. And in general, I mean, it's a good reason not to wait until the last minute to do these things. So don't see, oh, the deadline's 11:59 p.m. on this day, so if I start taking the quiz at 11, I'll be great. But that's just, for a number of reasons, not a wise kind of thing to do. One last thing that I want to revisit. I mentioned this a few minutes ago, but giving credit for someone else's intellectual property. I have occasionally in these online courses had difficulties with students who have plagiarized. Maybe they knew they were plagiarizing, maybe they didn't. But anytime you take other people's words or you take their ideas and you don't give them credit, that's plagiarism, and that will get you a failing grade on the assignment. And so let's please avoid that. It should be easily avoided, because for none of your assignments do I expect you to do any kind of outside research, whether it's a discussion post or essay. So you really shouldn't be consulting outside sources at all. But if you do, you need to acknowledge them, or you'll get yourself into trouble. Okay, about done. The last thing I want you to do is simply to email me and do two things. Number one, say, I was able to watch this video, so I was able to log on to Canvas, I was able to I saw the course, I was able to watch this video, so I know that everything's technologically in the clear. But secondly, just take a paragraph and tell me a little bit about yourself, a little bit about where you're from, if you have a family, if you have a job, anything that will tell me a little bit about your life situation. And I ask you to do this for two reasons. One is that I can know kind of going in about any potential issues with getting work done on time. So if you have 4 kids, like I do, that's something kind of helpful for me to know, because that's going to make me a little bit more understanding down the line if something comes up that's sort of beyond your control, okay? Because children are so often beyond our control. So that's helpful to know, but also I like knowing these things just because I like being able to make this course a little more personal. It's very hard with an online course to make things personal, to remind ourselves that we're communicating with other human beings. And so I like to just be able to attach a little bit of humanity to you. So please do that, and do that as soon as you can. And then, otherwise, as I said, just be in touch with me. Don't hesitate with big questions, small questions, in-between questions. Don't hesitate to email me and ask me, and I will help you through. All right, looking forward to this.